one time they came, surrounded the house with guns to get him. He seen them coming before they came actually and broke in or whatever, Um, he jumped out the window, came back for his shoes.
The whole concept for move is make a difference. O, to offer up your time, talent, and gifts. And B, there's victory in the small things. And E, to encourage others. And so I started to move.
Hello, everybody. I'm Scotty Carlisle, and thank you for tuning in to the Move podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Melissa Hurd. Now, Melissa is quite the author, and I believe she is in the process of publishing her third book. And, this didn't come out of nowhere. She's had some tribulations in her life. And you know what, Melissa, could you introduce yourself? I think you do a better job than me.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Melissa Hurd. I'm an author of Voice of the Broken, and I just have a second book coming out, Dear God. I am on my third book. It's supposed to be published sometime soon here. And it's just about my life.
So, what made you decide to start writing a book?
Well, I've been trying to write since I was 23, and I could never get it out. And at 47, God, He had me up for 4 days and 4 nights writing, and I didn't want to write yet, but I guess it was my time, and I actually got pretty much 3 books out of it. The Voice of the Broken is from me at a young age, growing up to pretty much my whole life. My parents divorced, abuse, neglect, stuff like that. Then my son, drugs, and stole stuff from me, and just all kinds of stuff that hit me. His dad was abusive, and my life was a little rough.
I think a lot of people find themselves in situations where they feel stuck, they feel neglected, they feel abused, they feel helpless. And so part of why I started this podcast is to talk to people that have overcome some of those adversities, but also are in the process of dealing with them right now. And how are you sitting with it? And how are you dealing? How have you been able to put things in place in your life that have helped you not dwell on negative, but move to positive? So, when you grew up, you say abuse. What kind of abuse are you talking about?
Well, when growing up, like being young, my parents didn't really care. They got divorced and then moved on to different relationships where we weren't important any longer. It was about them. Um, and then my mom's boyfriends, they, did things they shouldn't have. Um,
You
and I
mean
tried
like,
to fight them off,
what's
stuff
that?
like that. I had tried to fight them off, and my mom put me in foster care and kept them. Um,
So your mom's new husband,
well, not
basically,
husband.
or boyfriend, had abused you,
Yeah, she
and
had a few.
you what?
She had a few men that, you know,
That
um,
that abused you,
yeah.
and then you got put into foster care because of, did
What
you
they did.
leave, or what? How did you make a why did you go to foster care?
Well, they touched me, like the one touched me. It started back a few. years, but this one actually touched me, and I was actually punching him, and my mom got in the middle, and she literally pissed herself from getting in between, and they called the cops, and mom told them to take me, so they took me to foster care.
How
And
old were you?
I would say maybe 9 or 10.
Oh, dang, that early.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
how long were you in foster care for?
Ooh. Had to be. I think I got released around about 16, because my mom went to court and they released me back to her. So it had to be about 16, I'm guessing.
Oh,
Maybe.
you were in the foster care system for 7 years.
Yeah.
And what's it like?
Well, at first it wasn't too good because I kept getting switched around. Just, I don't know how to explain it. They weren't very nice, or they didn't want me part of their family. I did find an awesome family though that really stuck by me, which is in the book. And I haven't had contact them for a long time. But now they are in my life again.
Oh, that's cool. How many
Yeah.
families did you have to go through before you found one that worked?
Ooh, I think I went through 7.
Wow.
Some were temporary. Some was supposed to be full time, but they said that they had to go on vacation, so they went on vacation, and they never got me back. Stuff like that. A lot of them, I think, just thought it would be easy money. I don't know.
So when that happened, somebody said they went on vacation and then never came back. How did you take that? Were you happy about it, or was it something that made you feel like you were not wanted? Or
Well, I guess in the long run, I'm probably happy about it because I wouldn't want people like that anyway, because I went through it enough. But yeah, I blame myself, of course. I always thought, what did I do now? Or they didn't even get a chance to know me, you know? And I don't know. Yeah, I felt like it was my fault.
yeah, at 10 years old, 11 years old, that sucks. So after you've gone through these different families now, were you in a similar, like, were you in the same state? Did you move to a different state, or you in the same local community?
Perry County, or it was Lancaster. Conestoga is where I ended up to stay that a couple years.
Is that close to where you grew up?
Oh, I grew up in East Berlin, Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's not too far, maybe an hour or two.
Got it. And then when you're 16 and you're getting out of the foster system and you went back to your mother, what was that? How was that?
Not good. She still had the boyfriend. And
The same boyfriend?
I believe so. Okay. Yeah, she did. And I said, I can't believe that I came back. And she said, well, the court said that I didn't have enough money, so they sent me back to her, That's what she told me, which I didn't really want to go back. But I did. And then it was not good. I mainly didn't want to stay there. I would run. I stayed at my grandma's a lot. I loved her. She just stuck by my side. She knew that it's wrong, but she just stuck with me, and she never said anything bad about them.
Mommy, you. Oh yeah. Here, if you're gonna walk in, this is my son Carson that likes to come in and especially when I'm in the middle of a podcast, and likes to
Hi.
make his presence known. But he likes to say mommy though, huh? You don't even say daddy. At least you could say is daddy. What's that? Yeah, you can say daddy though. Say daddy. At least if you're gonna come in here and take over the podcast, at least say daddy. Can you say daddy?
Say it.
Okay,
Say
go back to mama. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Now he said daddy. So, okay, sorry about that. But
It's okay.
you
She
know,
actually, go ahead.
yeah, no, you go ahead.
She actually, I believe she was still with him when I got out, but he ended up cheating. She threw him out, and then she met somebody from a bar, which was worse. Yeah, and we never got along. I never got along with him, but one time I was bent over the tub washing my hair, and he grabbed me right in the crotch, and I went after him. I whooped him, my soap in my hair and everything, and she she took up for him. So
Wow.
yeah, it was just crazy.
So then when did you move out?
Hmm. Well, I moved out pretty much around then because I stayed with a friend for a good long time. Well, a while, and then I ended up meeting abuser, and had a baby.
How
Oh,
and you were how old?
I'm thinking 17 or so, 16. Well, end of 16, 17. It was, yeah, I guess I just look for people that abuse me. I don't know. I don't know, but
Well, I've heard that you always go back to familiarity. So in life, whatever you are used to and comfortable with is where you gravitate. So, if that was happening and that was your daily routine and what you were used to, then of course you're going to catch those vibes and be attracted to the similar comfort zone, which is actually uncomfortable zone
yeah,
because of the situations that happen. But you know what? We're all guilty of doing that, just in different ways.
yeah.
Um, how long were you with him?
6 years. Well, I left. I don't know many years. I get confused with the years and stuff, but I know when my son was 3 months old, um, he was crying in our apartment, and I wanted to go in and see what was wrong with him. Well, here his dad actually bit him in the forehead because he was crying.
uh
And I said, "What did you do that for?" He says, "Because I wanted him to be a man." I said, "You're not even a man. Why
ah,
would you fight him?" So that was the end of him. I threw him out and never seen him again. Um, the year thing, though, I get confused with ages and years. It
yeah, I have that same
all
problem.
just seems like it's all together, like it never moves. It's the same.
Yeah, you blink and then you wake up and you're 50 years old,
Hmm.
crazy.
But then Timmy, my son was about, I think, 2 when I met another guy. I met him actually in a bar. Now, I'm taking after my mom, right? That's how I look at it. But
Yeah,
he, go ahead.
no, I think you're right. That's all.
Yeah. He actually couldn't leave his mother. Whatever she said went, and my son didn't even have a place to sleep or anything. He had to sleep on the floor, and we got treated badly. And then I actually left him. I think we might have been together 8 or 9 years, I'm guessing. And then I left him. And then my son actually stayed with him a little while before he like went away from him altogether, which I thought was odd because he really looked up to him as a dad, even though, the way he was treated and all. but I found out my son was into drugs bad, in a lot of trouble all the time, and the judge put him in boot camp for 3 years.
Put your son in boot camp?
Until so he would get over his addiction and stuff. He was in trouble a lot, so the judge sent him to boot camp in Quanah State or something, I don't know, far away from here. And I found out that, well, the person he called dad molested him after I left. And
what do you mean? So you left where?
After I broke up with him, the guy.
Oh, that's when you found out, after you had left, that it had happened before?
No, it actually didn't happen until I left.
So you left, and your son was still with your boyfriend?
Yeah, he stayed with. I see him every now and then, but he was mad at me for leaving Bob. But here all along, I mean, it's really weird how this all worked.
And how old was he? Your son?
Well,
how old was your son at the time?
I remember it had to be 13, 14, my son was.
Okay.
Because we both took him skating and stuff. And then one day Timmy just decided, oh, I guess I can give his name. Oh well, Timmy. I call him Roger in the book. But he one day he just didn't want to go back no more. And I thought it was really weird. And he would ignore the calls and everything from the guy. What did I call him?
So I guess where my question is how, so your son's 13 or 14, you're living with your boyfriend, and you guys broke up. So you left, and then, but your son stayed there. So where did you go? And
I got an apartment in Gettysburg.
And how come your son didn't go with you?
He was upset with me because I left. He was mad at me, so he didn't talk to me. And then he decided he was staying with Bob, which was weird. But then to find out, that's when, like, it might have started right before I was leaving him, the molesting thing. But he just started doing that, and he said it was okay because that's what his dad did to him. And I don't know, but I lived in an apartment. It's so confusing. I'm messed up.
Aren't we all? Listen, we all, anybody that tries to pretend that they're not messed up are probably the most messed up. That's, at least the thing is you're honest, and things happen that happen. And the only way, in my opinion, to get through that is to accept it as reality, not to try to pretend it didn't happen. Now, that doesn't mean you have to dwell on it and think about all the negative shit and things that happen and how your woe is me and life sucks. But to be able to have a conversation and just say what it is, be transparent, be open, I believe that it will allow you the ability of not holding on to these emotions and to these past situations that just eat away at you. But it allows you to have the thought and then project it right back out. So it's like, I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me, sticks to you, that whole thing. I appreciate the fact that you're very open with it. And, if I ask questions that are too personal or whatever, don't feel like you have to answer them. I'm just curious, how that whole thing worked. And I've dealt with situations in my life, and I've had family members that have dealt with similar situations. And I know how horrible of consequences can happen from these type of situations. So, I feel for you, but there's a possibility that other people are listening to this podcast, and it could be right now is when they're dealing with these things. And the idea is that, hey, yes, it happened to you, happened to me, happened to them, and we just keep on trucking. Things happen, and you just keep going. So
I gotta be honest with you, like all that anger, I had all that anger, and somebody couldn't even look at me. I would whoop them, like I would beat their ass, and it would just make me more like angry, and I just wanted to like whoop everybody.
so what your son was 13, 14, this was happening. And then when you found out, how exactly was it that you found out?
The counselor at Quanah Boot Camp called me and informed me of it. And I thought, no way. And she said, yeah. And then I went to visit Timmy. I couldn't see him. I only could see him one time through the 3 years, I believe. And when I did finally go see him, that's not it either. He told me about it. And I actually seen his daughter in the meantime with my son's ex. Okay, they came to my house. I don't know how
Your boyfriend's daughter.
No.
Your son's daughter.
My son's daughter.
Okay, so then now he's older than 14 at this point. He's like,
oh, yeah, hold on. Let me get this right. Yeah, but when he went to boot camp, yeah, it was way past. When he went to boot camp and stuff, I'm lost now. Okay, so he left Bob and everything. That's when he started drugs and everything else because of all this. He got in a lot of trouble for a lot of years before because everybody kept bailing him out and stuff. And he was on the run for the longest time. He lived in motels for whoever would pay. Wherever he'd get the drug, he would do whatever he could to get it.
What kind of drugs do you know, or pretty much everything?
Heroin. Heroin was horrible. That was the worst thing. That was, I don't know. But he would steal. It was just a horrible thing.
My little brother had a similar bout with heroin, and so I understand that it's when you have a loved one that is in the throes of that drug, especially, it is I don't know how to explain it either.
I know, right?
It's not good. It's bad. So it's bad, and he had done a lot of other things. But that was, he said, he wanted to die, especially when you start to try to wean yourself off.
Oh my
And
gosh.
when you get the withdrawals and you're sick and you're nauseous and you just want to die. You don't want to even live and suffer in that situation. And so the best thing you can do is to go get another hit so you get back to level.
Yeah, sometimes I think I blame myself for trying to kill him because I gave him money to go get it, because it was so horrible seeing him go through that withdrawal. And 3 times he died in front of me from hanging himself, or, and I think.
Tried to commit suicide 3 times?
Yep. One time it was at Sheetz parking lot in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He just fell over right in the parking lot. And he was getting in my car.
He overdosed or what?
Well, he overdosed, I think, twice. Once in Abbottstown, Pennsylvania, and once at Gettysburg that night because I ran him to the hospital in Gettysburg. But the one time he hung himself he couldn't, there was no money to get the drug. So he was withdrawing, and he ached real bad. He said his bones and everything ached, and he couldn't continue, and he just wanted to die. And
and here you are, Mom, and you're living that through him, and I can only imagine that. Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Looking back at this point, what do you think you should have done?
Well, what I should have done was called the cops and let them know, because he had warrants. He was on the run a lot of times. He was still in my house. I mean, one time they came, surrounded the house with guns to get him. He seen them coming before they came actually and broke in or whatever, you know. Um, he jumped out the window, came back for his shoes.
Oh God.
Not funny, but
Yeah, funny but not funny.
he came back for his shoes because they were $300 shoes. But he didn't put them on. He was carrying them, running with his shoes in his hand. It's not funny, but at that time, it's like, what the hell?
And did they catch him?
No, not then.
Oh wow.
How they caught him was, I think he might have been on the run for a year then, and him and a guy stole something from Kohl's, and they were coming out in the parking lot, and the cop got him. They must have called the cops ahead of time. Well, Timmy took off running, and he went to Dunkin' Donuts across the street, in the bathroom, and someone called the cops and told them that Timmy was in the bathroom.
Oh
It
man.
was just weird how it works. So the cops all went into the bathroom and arrested him. And that was it. That was the end. And if I just would have left him stay in jail, nobody bailed him out a long time ago, this all wouldn't happen. But I couldn't. My heart.
Yeah, no, I've talked to a couple things, and there's a recurring theme that, you know, when you're in the middle of that life and you're going from one to the next, you could have sincere intentions on stopping, but you're in a habit, and then this minute you're not going to do it. Well, next minute you have a moment of weakness, and then the moment of weakness leads you down the slippery slope, and then you're back into the whole thing again. And so the people that I've talked to that have actually been able to overcome it, it's because they've quit cold turkey. And a lot of times it's not because it was a choice of theirs. It was they got put in jail. They got put in rehab, and they literally had the drug taken away. And it allowed them time enough to get to a point where they did have the strength to modify their behavior. And so unfortunately, you know, I don't know how many people have been able to quit heroin or even meth that are out there and have done them by themselves just because one day they woke up and said, I'm not doing it. I would imagine that those numbers are low.
It has to be really low, I would think.
So what's your son up to now? What's he doing?
Well, he's married.
How old is he now?
He's 29. He has a daughter from Maria. His new wife has a son from another guy. And then he actually has his daughter in his life full time. Because her mom has had her and then I think 2 or 3 other boys, and she got into a bad relationship and got into drugs and everything, and she chose her husband over the kids.
This is your son's ex-girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah. So
now your son has his daughter full time, and he stopped doing everything.
yeah.
Was it?
He doesn't even.
How did he quit? Was it because he was put in jail and he had no choice, and he was okay when he came out, or?
He was put in jail. Nobody could bail him out because he had to go to the judge ordered him from Adams County Prison to boot camp. And he couldn't get out. They had to give him something though in jail because they said that there was so much in his system that he just couldn't go cold turkey. It would kill him.
So they gave him methadone, or what did they give him?
I guess it was something they gave him that he didn't have that withdrawal. or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's typically I know methadone is one of the drugs that do that. But what I've also seen with methadone is it is more addictive than a lot of times the drugs that you're using it to wean off of. It's like, this is more addictive.
Right.
And so they had to give him. Now, did they just give it to him while he was in there, or did he have a longer period of time of taking that?
Just why he was off that, he was pretty much cleaned out or whatever before he went to boot camp. He didn't have to take anything when he went there. So, yeah. Now, what I was saying a while back about him being molested and stuff when he was okay. So Timmy was older then, going to jail and to boot camp. Well, in the meantime, I didn't get to see his daughter and girlfriend for a long time because she just didn't want Timmy to see them or whatever. So Maria showed up at my door one day with the daughter, Lexi,
With your granddaughter.
my granddaughter. And yeah, we were talking, and I was telling Maria that what happened to Timmy, what Bob did to him. And she goes, that is so funny because they actually, Maria had a relationship with Bob enough that Lexi could go see him because Bob didn't want to leave our lives. And Maria actually went there to see Bob, and Lexus did too, my granddaughter. Well, Lexi used to spend the night there with Bob, and then things started happening.
To your granddaughter?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And, he would have her in bed with him and try to do things, and she wouldn't stay there anymore.
And how old was she?
Ooh. She had to be, she talked, I know that. It had to be 3 or 4, I'm guessing.
That young. What the hell?
And when I was telling Maria this about what happened to Timmy, she goes, that is so funny. She goes, you won't believe this. And then she started telling me about what Bob did to Lexi. So Maria, the mom, told me that she was going to let Timmy know somehow, write him a note or something before I got to see him in Juana boot camp. That way he knew ahead of time. And I finally did get to see him. We had a conversation, and I said, I was letting Maria know about what Bob did to you. I said, and I'm sorry what happened to Lexi. He didn't know. She never told him.
And what did he say?
Well, his mouth just dropped. He turned all white, and I only had 45 minutes with him. So I'm sitting there, and I thought he was going to bawl. And I said, oh my gosh, she promised she was going to tell you before we discussed this. She goes, he said, I never got anything, but it was horrible that day. So when I got home, I called children's services. I had to check because she was still, Maria liked money. She would go to Timmy's stepdad or whatever to get money. She used him pretty much. And
then he'd say, okay, here's a couple $100, go whatever. Yeah, I'll babysit Lexi. Go ahead and have fun, and I'll take care of her, and she'll be in good hands. That kind of thing.
Yep, and she continued to keep taking Lexi there, so I called children's services, and I told them what was going on. And well, ever since that, thank God, Bob actually stayed away from them. He would never talk to them again. But
now, when you called, did somebody come talk to Bob? Like, has Bob had any kind of recourse from any of these things?
Yeah, I even think he might have lost his job.
Well, I feel like he should lose more than that.
Yeah.
So as far as like any criminal proceedings
they said when they did the exam on her, apparently, if anything did ever happen, it wasn't major, and there's no sign because I'm guessing at a point she said that she no longer stayed overnight or anything with him. So I don't know. So he didn't get charged, but I still think he lost his job. He drove truck, and they did an investigation and everything. They went through his work and all that. I know that.
And what did your son do when he got out of his boot camp? Did he go confront Bob?
He wanted to. I actually think he tried. I know Bob. He went to his house one time, but Bob locked the doors. And that's all I know.
And at this point, Bob has to be, how old is he?
Ooh,
So if Lexi's, let's say 3.
Lexi now is 12.
Okay, so we're talking 9 years ago this happened. 9-10 years ago. And how old is Bob now?
He's old. Maybe late 50s, I'm guessing, right?
So he's around 50.
50 something, yeah. But
So I think this is a this happens a lot more than people are aware. And if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, be extra cautious if your kid is staying the night with an adult. Be extra cautious. They don't always come up and tell you right up front. Be aware of extra moments and things to try to read into. And if your kid wants to stay with an adult, just pay attention, and just don't let your child, listen, things happen. If it happened in the past, that sucks. Things happen. Don't be so easy to let it happen. If things are going to happen, sometimes they're just going to happen and you got to deal with it. But if there are now, would you say, looking back, that there were, now that you know it happened, were there signs that you could have noticed that something weird was going on?
not me, because I hardly ever got to see her.
Well, what about with your son, though?
With my son, the only thing I see is the drugs and not wanting to go to Bob.
So it was an aversion. So it wasn't now when you left, but though they were real close.
They were, you asked?
Yeah, were they real close when you left, Bob?
Yeah, they were. Now, I have to admit, when I met Bob, Timmy was 2. There was stuff going on that Timmy told me that my son told me one day. He was actually telling his teddy bear that Paw made him eat a salad and white stuff squirted out of it. So here, all along, I thought it was my dad. So I go to Children's Services and I tell my dad, and it wasn't even my dad.
And it was Bob.
Great,
So, and then your dad, I'm sure, getting accused of that was probably a crazy situation. How did he respond to you?
He just looked at me like, are you kidding? Like, he goes, no way. I wouldn't have, And at the time, it was like, well, if Timmy said it, you did it, because he wouldn't bring that, Well, here it was Bob. And I had to apologize to my dad a while back. It was probably a lot of years. When I found this all out, I went to him and apologized for blaming him for it.
Wow.
Mhm.
Do you have a relationship with your dad now?
Well, no, not really. My dad, he's actually in this book again, the second book. He, I just feel he never was there for us, like when we were young and stuff. And when we got older, he just decided to like move in with us and live, not pay nothing, and okay. And I did it for a while, but he would call us names like whores and sluts, stuff like that. After
Us?
I'm
Who is us?
Oh well, he would do it to my other sisters too. My oldest sister, he would go there and stay, and then call her names and hated her husband, which I don't like her husband either. But
Huh.
um,
So your dad would call you whores and sluts? Why?
yeah, I guess. Well, he used to do that to my mom too, and that really took effect on me. It made me feel like I was really low, and he would do that even out if we were somewhere. He would tell people that, so it gave us a bad I
He
don't
would.
know.
So you would be out at like. Give me in a situation where that happened.
Okay. Um, we'd be out. If okay, so just say we're out and I run into a friend of mine or a guy,
Yeah.
just a friend. He'd say, "Oh, you like this little horn slut, huh?" Stuff like that.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
And I
He was
can't
trying to be funny.
see it. And I thought, you walk in and to visit one day and you stay a whole year. I said, I feed you, I pay the bills, you don't give nothing. And you can sit there and call me a whore and a slut and whatever you wanna. Well, it got to the point I put up with it until he tried to move in not too a while back and I wouldn't let him. And I said, I can't do it anymore because I'm finally me. I found myself, and I'm not gonna have him do that to me.
You were living by
So
yourself at that point?
yeah, yeah. I actually lived with myself for a long time after living with that. Or when I left Bob, I lived by myself, but Dad always moved around. Like he always lived off somebody, and sometimes he would just come and then he wouldn't leave. So I always pretty much lived myself, but he would just take over. He always seemed to take over.
So him and your mom, when did they get a divorce?
I was 5 years old.
Got it. And so you went with your mom, and then your dad just went off somewhere, and you didn't really have
Yeah, I was
contact
with
with
my
him?
mom, and then I was with my dad, and then I was with my mom. Whenever, yeah. Um,
So you're
and
like a
Dad,
ping pong ball being bounced
yeah,
around.
yep. And then mom's boyfriends. Who knows why they wanted to grab me and stuff? It's disgusting, but they did. And then when I fought back, then I was the bad one. My mom always put me down because I liked her men and I didn't. They were disgusting. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, this is a
Like
crazy world
to
we
live
live in.
that
So what does life look like nowadays?
great. I'm at peace with everything. I'm happy all the time. Um, I don't have a bad day. I don't get mad like I used to and wanting to beat everybody up. I talk nice to everybody. I'm kind.
Do
I
you
just
were you ever on any medication or like talking to a therapist or any of that stuff?
Well, I used to talk to therapists, but it didn't seem to help. I
Yeah,
mean,
I feel like everybody should have, a therapist could be your friend, or, I feel like we all have bottled up things that we need to get out, and we need to talk to somebody, you know?
Yeah, I know the feeling, but the thing is, the day I gave it all to God, it all left me. I don't know. I just know that that day, I swear I hit rock bottom, and I swear God was right there. And when I started giving him everything and writing it all down, like to help other people also.
So really fast, when you say you hit rock bottom, because I feel like just from our brief talk, you've hit several points that are really shitty. And so what was it at that point that you felt like you hit rock bottom? What was going on in your life?
Well, I was homeless at one point. I actually gave up my apartment to move to Florida to help a rescue out.
An animal rescue?
Yeah, because I'm into animals. I help a lot of animals. And I decided I'd go help a rescue out. Well, that was the worst thing to ever do because they had all these animals at their house, and the lady's daughter actually starved dogs to death. When I got there, she was supposed to feed them. She never fed them, and she starved them to death, and they were in their crates. And as the mother went through to see what was going on, she was pulling them out piece by piece. And I freaked out. I lost my mind. And I actually didn't drive or anything. I actually had them come and pick me up to go to this rescue. So as soon as I got there and helped out a little bit, I left. And I got a U-Haul loaded. I had 5 dogs at the time that I rescued.
Oh man.
So I bought a U-Haul, or I rented a U-Haul, loaded the dogs up, and came back to Gettysburg. The thing is, when I got here, I had nowhere to go. So I actually got online, and some guy from school, which was a very nice guy, Randy, he lived in York. He actually said, you know what, I'll help you out because at one time I needed help and somebody helped me. So he actually took me and my dogs in. I stayed there until I found a place. We went to school together. And that's all it was. Like, there was never going to be a relationship. I knew that, but he didn't even try, which is awesome because I probably would have.
He literally was just trying to help you out.
Yeah, because at first I was really iffy. I had no trust in anybody. I thought, okay, what does he want? But he didn't. He didn't want anything, and I'm so thankful. But yeah, I think that was the most because I still had my dogs, and they weren't going nowhere. Like, they were staying with me. So I think that was. I can't just.
And then did somebody invite you to church?
Oh yeah, actually God. I seen him standing when this was all going on. When I finally got a place and I was starving, I had no food. So every day I'd walk out in a driveway and there was raspberry bushes. So I would grab raspberry bushes or raspberries off the bushes, and that's what I ate for 3 weeks. And I just started bawling, and I swear I seen God, and he pointed. He told me to follow that road to the end, and turn. I don't know, there was a church on the end, he said. So it was funny. I decided I was walking. So I walked, and there was a church in the corner. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get information.
Okay, let me stop you there. So what did God look like?
All I remember is a long white cape, not a cape, but like a gown. Just saying. And his hair was it was dark, and it was short. It was short, right to here maybe. And I remember him pointing that. He was actually by a tree. And I don't know. I stopped crying. There he was. And I listened to what I thought he said. So I ended up at that church. And when I got there, he wasn't standing like on the ground though. He was in the air, like in the tree. I don't know. But anyway, I got to the church and I went in this store and there was a whole bunch of people in there, girls. And here they were having a baby shower and she goes, "May I help you?" I said, "Well, I was sent here to get information about a church. I need church." And she said, "Oh, yes, of course." So she went and got me a whole bunch of information, and then I got invited to the baby shower. So I stayed there 2 hours.
That's cool.
So that's how I met, like, all them people. And then they started helping me. From then on out, like, food, just took me wherever I needed to go.
Has God appeared to you any other times?
No. I hear him talk sometimes, but I don't see him.
What does he say?
Well, he just, if I'm deciding on something, if it's right or wrong, like he just takes me to the right spot. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's crazy.
Almost like your consciousness, or
Yeah, I guess.
your good conscience.
Yeah. It's just keeping me from doing the wrong thing. Like, because at one time I wanted to do what was wrong so I could get attention. Like, I wanted to stick out there. I wanted everybody to see that I wanted attention, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I guess maybe it is my conscience, but it's helping me.
So did you get baptized? Or when you gave it all to God, what does that mean?
Well, I gave it all to God and I did get baptized. I forget the date, but it was at in Gettysburg, and it was I know it was a couple years, maybe. It's when I moved to that apartment and I'm starving and everything, and that's when everything hit. Like, I finally seen God, and I got baptized at Freedom Valley Church in Gettysburg in a tub. I forgot to hold my nose though. I couldn't breathe.
Ah.
Yeah.
So ever since then you've has it been, so was it at the point where you got baptized, or was it before that where you gave it all to God?
It was before that. I gave it all to God, and then I was ready to get baptized. I don't think it's right that babies get baptized.
Why?
Why? Because I don't feel that they found God yet. I think
It's more for the parents, you think?
Parents shouldn't choose that they get baptized then, because they might have not even seen God yet. Like, some young kids do see God, but not everybody. My son didn't get baptized after he got off drugs and read the Bible and stuff. He got baptized at the church, at the boot camp. That's when he found God. People need to find God in their own time, not be baptized till then. That's the way I see it. It does no good.
Yeah. I mean,
And I guess
each to their own.
If they don't find God, then they don't get baptized. I don't know.
So your life has changed since that moment? And how long ago was that?
Well, the only thing I can say, when I wrote everything down in the books, and I never thought it was going to be published, and a publisher took them over right away. I couldn't believe I was in shock. I was free from everything. Like, I don't get mad or anything when I think back. I actually can talk to my mom and not get mad at her. Like, that's crazy, because at one point I just wanted to whoop her. I wanted to punch her in the face. And now I do everything with her. Like, I help her out. She comes here and I make her supper and stuff. And I don't even bring up the past like I used to and want to throw her out. So I'm really at peace. And I smile a lot. At one time, I never smiled. So, yeah. It's when I wrote the books and got it all out, finally, that I found peace. And I can't, it doesn't make me angry anymore. So, yeah.
So if somebody was struggling with themselves and with life, you would recommend that how would you recommend that they search for God? And yeah, I guess that's it. How would you recommend that they try to find God?
Well, the only thing I know what I did was, I used to pray to God. And it was only times that I wanted something, And there for the longest time, I would pray for things, but I also prayed even if everything was fine or if I had everything, just to thank Him or like for the food or, it wasn't just when I need something. So that's when things started looking around. I just know I wanted to talk to Him at all times, not just when I needed something. So I'm just saying to everybody, pray about everything, even when the days are good. And you'll see a change. You'll see that you'll be at peace and things will start going the right way. That's the only thing I can say.
Some people say the power of the law of attraction, and everything is made up of vibrations, and when you are in a state of gratitude, you resonate at a certain frequency and a certain vibrational pattern, and that those vibrational patterns attract other similar vibrational patterns. And do they have tools that that measure that exactly? I don't know, maybe, but the concept seems pretty relevant in my own life on different times where I feel like if I am in the attitude of gratitude, life has a way of opening doors, and I end up meeting people that help me on my path. I end up just feeling better about myself. I end up being in a situation where I can help others in a better way. And then it's all like a compounding, momentous effort. And I'm trying to keep that up. And that's why I have this Move podcast. That's why I'm talking to you, because I wanted to get your story. I want other people to hear your story. So, there's a lot of horrible shit that happens out there. And I feel like we need to talk about it. We need to get past it in whatever capacity that we can. And I feel like if I'm helping facilitate conversations where somebody might hear something and it just helps them, whatever helps them to help somebody or and then I'm allowing you to help them through me and through this platform. So now you're also helping others in even a bigger capacity. And so, I don't know, I'm just trying to continue to keep up that momentum. So.
No, that's good. But, every morning I go out and I see all these people that are unhappy and stuff. And I go out with a smile and say, good morning, how are you? Have a good day, and they start smiling. So I remember when I used to walk out my door and I'd say, what are you looking at?
Yeah. Are you looking at me?
Right. So that ruined their day and it made me, a lot worse. So yeah, I think you have to have a good attitude no matter what. No matter what's happening in your house, go out with a good one, because if you're happy, you make everybody else happy, and then it makes you feel good. Like, I even stopped and helped an old man mow one day.
Nice.
Because I can't handle watching them sit there and struggle to mow. So I had to stop my car and go help. But
probably made you feel better than him, though. to
Oh,
be able to do
sure.
that.
Yeah, I went home with a smile, so. But yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. If
I
it doesn't make somebody happy, at least we tried, right?
Right. You know, so I have an organization called My Unsung Hero Foundation, and that is what it's about. Unsung heroes are the ones that are behind the curtains. They're the ones that are not trying to get attention, not trying to make money, not trying to have some kind of ulterior motive or agenda. They're literally just wanting to help. And, you know, it sucks because there are a lot of con artists that wear that cloak very well. And they want to help so they can get in and they can take advantage in some way, which is unfortunately, it's part of the game, right?
Yeah.
And you will come across those people, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean you have to be one. You can literally be sincere about trying to help, and people may be suspect of you, and that's okay. They should be. They should be suspect because you got a lot of people in wolves' clothing or wolves in sheep's clothing that are out to try to take a bite out of you. And so it's okay to be suspect. But there's still those people out there that want to help and that are doing it because they're sincere, and who knows why they're maybe they're twisted in the head in a way where they just actually want to help and they're sincere in that capacity. So give a little bit of room for people like that too, I guess.
Exactly. I think some people have been burnt so much. If you just walk up to them and you know want to help them because you have the heart, you know, I think it takes a long time to prove that, no matter who you are. So I don't even know where I'm going with this, but as long as what you're trying to do don't change as you're like going down helping somebody, like then you start asking for money or something, but you stay on the right track with being kind, you know, every day, they're gonna earn your trust. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency over time, consistency and persistency develop trust.
Yeah.
So
And
go ahead.
I know there's good people. It's just it takes me a while to I have to make sure they're true, you know. I guess everybody that goes through a horrible thing, and if somebody really does care about you, they're gonna understand that you need that time to, you know, get to know them,
To vet.
Yeah.
So right now, if somebody wants to read your book, where or maybe even talk to you or connect with you, do you have social media, and maybe what are the names of your books?
Well, I have them on Amazon. They are for sale on Amazon and I think Goodreads, Kindle. I do have a Facebook, but I don't know. It's under Melissa Hurd. That's all I know. I don't know much about the social media or whatever, but.
And what are the names of your books?
Oh, Voice of the Broken and Dear God. But and my third one should be out sometime soon. I wanted to find peace in myself and get over all the anger. But I also wanted to help the ones that are going through similar situations that others don't believe. Because no matter how many times I told my parents and stuff or my family, they didn't want to hear it. So my main thing was to get it out for others that are going through it, that there is hope, no matter how bad it seems to be, not to give up, because there is always happiness somewhere. I think what it is you got to start not caring what people think and worry about yourself. Because I love myself now. I don't even care what people think. So.
Good.
Yeah.
They say when you're a teenager and you're rebellious, you don't care what people think. Or no, you do care what people think, and then as you get older, then you don't care what people think, and then as you get a lot older, then you realize people don't think about you at all. It doesn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah.
What about Dear God? What is that about?
It's still things that I still once in a while it comes back up where I think about it a lot. I have a conversation with God about the stuff. And what it is when I ask him questions, he comes back with his verses and answers my questions.
Like verses of the Bible?
Yeah, they're in there too.
The like Old Testament, New Testament, or all over, or what?
Well, it's the New Living Bible. Because like King James and all that, I can't understand because of the
Goeth, toeth, theeth, setteth. That.
So, but it is all over, like wherever. A lot of the stuff just comes to mind when I'm asking questions. The verses just pop up in my head.
So, Dear God is a collection of these different conversations that you had with God.
Yeah, it's a conversation. And then he just answers by his Bible verses.
And then you, in your book, ask the question and then supply the Bible verse that you were.
Yeah, like say I still have an issue with my dad. That is in there, and how he lived off me and stuff, and how he called me a whore and slut and stuff or whatever. And there is a Bible verse. I can't remember what it is, but it fit perfect to that. And it's in the book. So I guess my main thing was to let people know that God does have an answer if you really.
You have to seek, right? Seek and ye shall find.
Yeah. There's always something. Because you're always going to have doubts and stuff about things, or things are going to still come up once in a while. But
And then what's your third book?
I don't know yet.
Oh,
Actually, I don't know the name or anything yet, but it is sent in. They helped me through it.
So you finished writing it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what is it? What is it about? What is it about?
It's about my grandkids. It's about Lexi and as she was growing up, what we all missed out on and how her life went, and then Caden and Bentley. Like,
are those Lexi's younger brothers or younger brother and sister? Or?
Well, Cora. Caden is Timmy's son. Timmy and Nicole, the new wife, his son. He's 4. And then Bentley is the one, Nicole's son.
Got it. Okay.
So it's just, like, I always told my son, I said, if you get married and they have a child, to treat him as your own. So, yeah. Which Timmy does pretty good with, but
that's cool.
Is very bad and okay. So I'm the one with the problem with him, and he just does the weirdest things. Like I made my son's wife cupcake or muffins one day, and I told him, he was like 2, I guess. I was kind of watching him, and I told him to eat his dinner that I made. That I'm stepping outside. I'll be right back. So I stepped outside and came back, and the muffins I made that were in the baggie were in pieces, crumbled up.
Oh man!
And I said, "What did you do?" And he started laughing, and I said, "This is not funny." So I really got mad.
At least not at the time.
Yeah. So I really got mad, and I called my son at work, and I was going off. And he says, "I know Timmy wanted to laugh, but he knows how bad I get." But it's just, Bentley acts like an adult, okay? And if I'm talking to Timmy and his wife, and I have a question, Bentley answers, okay? And it's like, Oh no, he needs to go play and mind his business, you know. I'm really, but Timmy, it's like I told Timmy that he has to accept him, and I can't even do it. So, all that's in there.
Got it. Got
And
it.
yeah, I just, whew, that kid. And then I don't really have problems with Caden and Lexi. Well, we argue once in a while, but not as bad as Bentley. And it's
Yeah.
not because it's not my sons.
Right. It's a
just
personality conflict. It happens.
not a
Hey, listen, it happens to everybody. There's 7 siblings in my family, and some of them I get along with great, and others not so much. We don't get along all that great, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and that's okay. That's life, and we just keep going. But I know, so I have a couple other things to get to, and I also know that you have things, and and I want to be respectful of your time, and I appreciate you signing on to tell me about your story. I know there were some pretty intimate moments that you discussed, so that takes courage, and I appreciate that.
I'm
And
so glad I got to meet you though. Like I was wondering like what you look like.
it's kind of hard to see from the shine on the glossy head, but it's all right. Would you have anything else, any final thoughts of if anybody's listening that you'd like to mention?
Thing I can say is no matter how bad you think it is, don't give up on your life. Because at one point I wanted to also die, and now I'm so thankful I didn't. So there is hope and happiness. Just gotta go through some tough times sometimes to make you stronger. So yeah.
Sounds like,
And
yeah.
I wanted to tell you, I got the Dear God books, but Amazon has them messed up. So they have to go back. And then as soon as I get them reprinted, I will give you one.
Awesome.
I will contact you.
Awesome. Well, you know what? We just started a private Facebook group for all of the podcast guests. So as we're building and growing the show, we're kind of incorporating new things and trying different ideas. And so, that way we can all build a little network of people, and, who knows where it's going to lead? Maybe into a brick wall, but it may be green pastures. Who knows? It might be good, but we'll never know unless we do it. So that's what's happening. But you're helping me make it happen, and hopefully I can help you and connect with somebody and help them. And so, again, Melissa Hurd, thank you so much for being a guest.
I have a question now.
Yeah, what's your question?
You have a rough life.
What's that?
You have a rough life.
That's so here's what I would say compared to most people. Yes. I got lots of stories, between things that have happened to me, between things that have happened with, I have I had 7 siblings, now I have 6. I lost my dad, I lost my best friend, I've lost other people that were close, and there have been a lot of situations that I've been in where I put myself in because I was hyperactive, stupid, full of energy, and I jump into situations. And then, so a rough life, I guess I'm telling you all of that because what keeps coming to mind is perspective and attitude have such an important role in our joy and happiness. And we can sometimes subterfuge our mind, right, into thinking negative thoughts. And so I'm very thankful for the situations in my life.
Hey.
Yeah, sing it, sister.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for those moments of loneliness, for those moments of trepidation, for those moments of helplessness, for those moments of jealousy and anger and fear, because had it not been for those moments, I would not be able to have the perspective that I have now, and I would not be able to have the capacity and the depth of appreciation. So if you're always eating caviar, caviar is not going to be that good. But if you're eating dog food, you know, and you taste the caviar, you know, it's going to carry a little bit different weight. And so I've had a rough life in certain things, but I feel like it's been training. It's not out of just bad things. It's about purpose, things that have happened to me that caused sorrow have forced me to, in order to get through it, to look at it in a different capacity, in a different way. And so that gave me more of a breadth of understanding of life and what we're doing, and a better attitude to face the challenges that I'm up against now. Because I still have issues. There's still things that happen. Life still throws rocks at you, and you still get bopped upside your head sometimes in the most surprising ways that you couldn't have expected. And, you know, now I have 5 kids, right? So I have a 22-year-old daughter, all the way from to a 2-year-old son that you met, that just decided to come into the podcast and take over, right? So there's never a dull moment. I've also had a lot of different business situations because I've started different businesses, and I've been very active in the community. So there's a bunch of situations in that world that have been crazy. And then, you know, I'm also a magician, member of the Magic Castle, and I've been there for 12 or 13 years. And there's been some interesting things in that whole life. And then, you know, been involved with this other organization called Simple Acts of Care and Kindness. It's an anti-bullying organization, and
That's a big thing there.
it's, you know, it's cool. We do an event called the World Kindness Youth Conference, and once a year, 4,000 kids, every single kid in Corona Norco School District, or at least the Corona district, comes to this venue where the whole day is geared to teach them how to be more kind and compassionate.
Awesome.
And yeah, it is awesome. And the lady that had founded it is going to be on the show pretty quick. She had to reschedule, but you'll be hearing from her pretty soon. And she's had some things that she's overcome, but there's always a seed in trepidation that can flower into beauty and bliss. And it is our challenge, and it is my goal to try to find that. And so that's why I'm talking to you. That's why I try to reflect, you know, as much as I can to take that seed.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was done.
My 3rd book has about bullying in it, because Lexi, my granddaughter, she's actually going through that now, where she had a friend that would come to her house and stuff, and they would go to the baseball diamond and to the store for candy or whatever. Well, the friend is so into guys now, different sex, and Lexi isn't. So the girl no longer likes her. So in school now, everybody don't talk to Lexi. They all talk to this girl, because the girl got her them against Lexi that didn't even do anything.
Oh yeah.
And that's in my book. So
Got
that
it.
bullying crap really stinks.
Yeah, and it happens when we're adults too. It's a cycle, and people bully, and they are bullied in different capacities of life. So what I liked about that organization is it's more geared to showing kids, hey, look at this and do this. It's not saying don't bully, because then all the rebels are going to be like, okay, how do I bully? How do I bully? You know? So it's just like, hey, look, you can do this, and get them moving in this direction without saying that, but here. And like, for example, we have one little exercise where everybody gets in a wheelchair. So you have normal kids and they're in a wheelchair, and there's a little course that they have to maneuver around so they can understand how kids that are in wheelchairs feel and the limitations that they're up against. Because a lot of times we just don't think about that. So it's just taking kids and putting them in a situation to think about others that have different adversities and limitations, to develop more empathy and awareness and caring. And so I believe that it's doing a lot of good. And so I've been on that board for a while. So anyway, there's a lot of things that we can do. There's a lot of things that, as life's happening, as long as you have things going on where you're being needed when shit hits the fan, it's kind of like a safety net. If you're not helping others, if you're not doing things and shit hits the fan, you fall and you hit hard. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I need to know.
Why did you ask? But why? Okay, so now why did you ask me that?
Well, I was just thinking there's a reason you're doing all this, but I wanted to know if it was because you were going through a lot of bad stuff at one point, or, well, I know you didn't cause it. I can just tell you didn't, but.
You could just tell I didn't what?
You didn't, cause, you weren't mean or anything. I could tell that. You know what I mean? I knew something had to happen to you, or, I didn't, that you were doing this.
Oh, my light.
Make it dark.
Yeah, my light. I have a light that the battery just died in over there. So I have all these lights like this that I have set up, and it's got a little battery. If you can see behind it.
Or podcast or whatever you have here. People either lose a son or lose a daughter.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. And I didn't know if what.
So so growing up, I had a lot of issues. My family put the fun in dysfunction. So had scenarios of, broken promises. My dad, I looked up to him like no one else, and he was on prescription drugs and medication, and then a lot of other things that go along with that scenario. And then lost my little brother, started the My Unsung Hero Foundation, and then 9 months after that, I had a son that had a 10% chance of survival, had a bunch of different surgeries, was in the NICU for 7 months, I'm sorry. And anyway, so there are a lot of things that I have dealt with in my short time of life. So this is my way of, because I guess the reason is that I've found tomorrow is not promised, and it's a very quick life. And you're here today and gone tomorrow. So everything that you can do. So I have ideas, and it's like, I want to help and I want to make. But you gotta love it. So, but anyway, that's cool. Well, thank you for asking. But this light went out, so my hand's getting tired, and I'll
get light bulbs.
Yeah, well, get better batteries, or just look at the dang batteries before we do it and make sure that there's enough juice. That's probably a smart thing to do. But either way, Melissa, thank you very much for your time, and I guess we'll see you on the flip side.